But the warning signs had already been there for nearly 2 weeks before Dover. On May 10, 2026, during the Cup Series race at Watkins Glen International, something was clearly wrong. Near the end of the race, Kyle Busch came over the team radio and asked for a doctor to meet him the moment he finished. According to the TV broadcast, he had been battling a sinus cold all week. One that was being made significantly worse by the intense G-forces and sharp elevation changes at the New York road course. Despite all of that, he stayed in the car. He finished the race in 8th place, his best Cup Series result of the entire 2026 season. Afterward, he told reporters plainly that he had a pretty bad cough during the race, downplaying it the way competitive athletes often do. Brad Keselowski later admitted publicly that he knew Busch wasn't feeling well. But when Kyle won at Dover the following weekend, those concerns faded. Keselowski addressed the pressure NASCAR drivers carry. "There's no shortage of drivers that would love to take my seat or anybody else's seat if we weren't feeling well, and I think every driver feels that pressure. We're all thinking to ourselves, I don't want to be replaced. So you try to power through it the best you can." That was Kyle Busch. The kind of man who would drive through a sinus infection at a road course, ask for a doctor over the radio, finish the race in the top 10, and then show up the very next weekend to win a truck race. He never stopped. And that relentless drive to keep competing, to never show weakness, never give up a seat, may have been the very thing that cost him everything. Then came Wednesday, May 20th. Kyle Busch was not at a racetrack. He was not competing. He was at the General Motors Charlotte Technical Center in Concord, North Carolina, working in the Chevrolet Racing Simulator, doing exactly what he had always done, preparing, studying, trying to get better. And then, sometime during that session, he became unresponsive. A 911 call was placed from the facility at approximately 5:32 p.m. The caller told the dispatcher, "I have got an individual that has shortness of breath, is very hot, thinks he's going to pass out and is coughing up some blood." The caller confirmed that the man was awake but was on the bathroom floor of the facility. He also asked that emergency responders turn off their sirens upon arrival. Kyle Busch was transported immediately to a hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. He never came home. On the morning of Thursday, May 21st, the Busch family released a short statement. It read, "Kyle has experienced a severe illness resulting in hospitalization. He is currently undergoing treatment and will not compete in any of his scheduled activities this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We ask for understanding and privacy as our family navigates this situation." Fans were worried, but most believed he would pull through. This was Kyle Busch, a two-time champion who had come back from a compound leg fracture and a broken foot in 2015 to win the entire Cup Series championship that same year. The idea that something could truly take him down felt almost impossible then. Just hours later, the joint statement arrived from the Busch family, Richard Childress Racing, and NASCAR. "On behalf of the Busch family, everyone at Richard Childress Racing and all of NASCAR, we are devastated to announce the sudden and tragic passing of Kyle Busch." The reactions came fast, and they were raw. Denny Hamlin, his former teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing, posted, "Absolutely cannot comprehend this news. We just need to think of his family during this time. We love you, KB." Brad Keselowski wrote, "Absolute shock. Very hard to process." Jimmy Johnson told CBS Mornings, "I'm kinda lost for words at this moment, but we're gonna miss you, buddy. Gone too soon to say the least." Flowers appeared at RCR's shop in Welcome, North Carolina. Scenes that drew immediate comparisons to the grief that poured out following the death of Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 2001. Kyle Busch was the first active Cup Series driver to die since that day. 25 years of racing without losing an active driver, and now it had happened. If this story is hitting you the way it's hitting us, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you never miss a NASCAR story that actually matters. Now let's keep going, because this story isn't over yet. On Saturday, May 23rd, the Busch family released the official cause of death. The statement read, "The medical evaluation provided to the Busch family concluded that severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming associated complications. The family asks for continued understanding and privacy during this difficult time." What had presented as a sinus cold at Watkins Glen on May 10th had silently developed into severe pneumonia. That pneumonia then progressed into sepsis, a life-threatening condition in which the body's immune response goes into overdrive, damaging its own tissues and organs. The complications were rapid. They were overwhelming. And they claimed the life of one of the greatest drivers the sport has ever produced at just 41 years old. He was competing while this was happening inside his body. He won a race while this was happening inside his body. That is the detail that refuses to leave. To understand why NASCAR came to a complete stop on May 21, 2026, you have to understand exactly who Kyle Busch was in this sport. Born May 2, 1985, in Las Vegas, into a racing family, his father Tom was a mechanic who raced locally, and his older brother Kurt was 7 years older and set the competitive standard from day one. Back in 2001, Kurt Busch told the racing world, "You think I'm a pretty good race car driver? Wait until you see my brother. He's the best driver in the family." He was right. Kyle Busch finished his career with 63 Cup Series wins, 9th on the all-time list. He won 102 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series races, an all-time record. He won 69 Craftsman Truck Series races, another all-time record. Add those numbers together, and you get 234 total wins across NASCAR's 3 national series, more than any driver in the history of the sport. He held the record for 19 consecutive seasons with at least one win, from 2004 through 2023. He won the Cup Series championship in 2015 and again in 2019, both with Joe Gibbs Racing. Through Kyle Busch Motorsports, he won 100 Truck Series races and 2 championships, developing future Cup stars including Eric Jones and Christopher Bell. He was known as rowdy, polarizing, loud, brilliant. Fans either loved him intensely or spent entire race days hoping he would lose. Either way, they watched. Every single week. That was his power. After winning 3 races in his debut 2023 season at Richard Childress Racing, the wins stopped. 2025 ended as the worst championship season of his career. 21st in points, average finish of 17.9. The 2026 season began with a stunning moment of hope when Kyle Busch won the pole position for the Daytona 500, his very first front-row start for the sport's biggest race in 22 attempts. The entire garage believed again. But that qualifying lap stood as the lone highlight of a painful year. Through the first 9 races, he had not posted a single top 10 finish. His worst result came at Kansas Speedway, 35th place 4 laps down. The public feud with Denny Hamlin escalated, and Kyle responded directly at Talladega. "It's frustrating. Because I feel like I've done nothing except positive things in the time in which I've been at RCR. The last 4 years I've done nothing but work as hard as I could possibly do." Despite that, Hamlin later admitted, NASCAR still needs the old Kyle Busch. That line alone said everything about what this sport loses without him. A crew chief change, Jim Pullman out, longtime RCR veteran Andy Street in, produced immediate small signs of improvement. An 8th place finish at Watkins Glen. Speed at Texas Motor Speedway. Then the win at Dover on May 16th, and it looked, genuinely, like something was turning around. He never got to find out what that something was. Kyle Busch is survived by his wife Samantha, whom he married on New Year's Eve 2010, his son Brexton, who turned 11 the Monday before his father passed, and his 4-year-old daughter Lennox. Before his death, Kyle spoke openly about how much his son kept him motivated through the hardest stretch of his career. "Brexton doesn't really remember the days of me being out there winning all the time, winning all the races and being thrown up in the air. That was a little before his memory time." That quote now carries a weight it never had before. Samantha Busch stood beside Kyle through championships, injuries, controversies, and some of the most personal pain a couple can go through publicly. Kyle and Samantha spoke openly about their infertility struggles and IVF treatments, and rather than keep that pain private, they turned it into purpose. In 2015, they founded the Bundle of Joy Fund. The organization has awarded 178 grants totaling over $2.3 million and has helped welcome 111 babies into the world through IVF. Samantha told People, "We were fortunate to be able to afford IVF treatments, but it devastated us to know that for many couples, getting their financial estimate would be the end of the road for them." Now Samantha is navigating all of that, the grief, the children, the nonprofit, the public eye, while also dealing with the financial fallout from an $8.5 million insurance lawsuit that Kyle and Samantha had settled just months before his death, involving policies they claimed were misleadingly marketed as safe retirement plans. That is the weight now sitting on one family's shoulders. Kurt Busch, NASCAR Hall of Famer, who received his induction jacket in January 2026 with Kyle standing right beside him, now buries his little brother. The same little brother he bragged about in 2001. The Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway went ahead on Sunday, May 24, 3 days after his death. Kyle's number 8 was freshly painted onto the infield grass at Turn 1. All 39 cars in the field carried a Kyle Busch decal. On lap 8, both the public address system and the TV broadcast went completely silent. NASCAR CEO Steve O'Donnell stood beside Samantha Busch and the couple's 2 children and said, "Kyle Busch is NASCAR. He was one of a kind and there will never be another." He then looked directly at the family. "Samantha, I want you to know that this sport stands with you, and that you and your children are NASCAR family forever. And Brexton and Lennox, your dad loved you with all his heart." Kyle Larson's son Owen, 11 years old, walked across the infield and put his arm around Brexton Busch before the moment of silence, a quiet, human gesture that went viral instantly and broke millions of hearts. At Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Dale Coyne Racing Team changed the font on Romain Grosjean's car to mirror the font Kyle used throughout his 14 years at Joe Gibbs Racing and raced it with the number 18. On lap 18, the Speedway's scoring pylon lit up with Kyle Busch's name, face, and the years 1985 to 2026. RCR officially retired the number 8, reserved permanently until Brexton Busch is ready to carry it forward. The statement read, "No one can carry it forward to the level that he did." The No. 8 is reserved and ready for Brexton Busch when he is ready to go NASCAR racing. When the Coca-Cola 600 ended, shortened by rain, it was Daniel Suarez who took the checkered flag. An emotional Suarez dedicated the win entirely to the man who helped him find his footing in NASCAR back in 2015. "It's for Kyle. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here." Kyle Busch was 41 years old. He was in his 22nd full-time season. He won his last race 4 days before he died. And nobody, not his team, not his family, not the sport, saw it coming. 234 wins. 2 championships. 19 consecutive winning seasons. Records across 3 series that may never be touched. But Brexton Busch is 11 years old, already carries 100-plus youth racing victories, and the number 8 is waiting for him. The day Brexton climbs into that car at a NASCAR Cup race will be one of the most emotional moments this sport has ever witnessed, because Kyle Busch's story will not end with a 911 call in a simulator room. Kyle's legacy lives not only in 234 wins and 2 championships, but in his son, his daughter, his wife, and the 111 families who have babies today because of what he and Samantha built together. He said, "Cherish them all. Trust me. Rowdy, we will." If Rowdy meant something to you, like, subscribe, and share. Rowdy Nation, show up one more time. Rest easy, Rowdy. 1985 to 2026.